There we
So
go.
I met Barb and Ray many years ago, actually through Carolyn when we were working with Paula that
Oh,
many years
right. Oh,
ago.
right. Yeah.
Many years ago. So, but Ray is going to help tonight, help us with what they did with their thinking and how they were able to keep their focus to drive them to do the things that are necessary to do to move forward instead of getting ready and I'm going to get ready, I'm going to get ready and I'm going to do this and I'm going to learn this and I'm going to figure this out. And as I was listening to Julie Burke, she said, we can learn and learn and learn, but until we actually start doing it. So Ray's going to help us with how do you keep your head in the game to do what you want to do, to get you where you want to go. So Ray Madorin, Master Coordinator.
Thank you very much. Thanks for inviting me on the call. Roland called me a couple of days ago and said, hey, I'm leaving town. Will you take and help out with the call? And I said, sure, I'll be glad to do that. I think I'll start it out a little bit, but just to give you a little bit of my background, because a lot of you probably don't know who I am or whatever. I live in, my wife and I, Barb, live in Scottsdale, Arizona. We're master coordinators. I've been masters now for 5 years. Barb has been in Shackley for 44 years, working on 45 years in Shackley. And I joined her in the business about 7 years ago. But I was in the corporate world for 33 years in high-tech semiconductor industry. I was vice president of global human resources for a major semiconductor company. I worked for Intel Corporation. I worked for VLSI Technology, just different ones. And then I got with a startup company called Xilinx, X-I-L-I-N-X. And I joined them as a vice president. It was wildly successful, this company. After 2 years of being there, we took the company public. Our stock went crazy. It was, we kind of lived the Silicon Valley dream, if you will. And I was able to retire at an early age because of that at age 55. That was in 1998. And Barb and I, then our boys are still in San Jose area in Silicon Valley and work in Silicon Valley like we did. My youngest son's also in human resources, and my other son is in manufacturing in the company that I used to work for. So we moved back to Scottsdale, Arizona. And I had told Barb, I don't know how many times, when you get the business to a certain level, I'll join you in the business. Well, we got back to Scottsdale and I started playing golf. And I played golf 5-6 days a week and I didn't join her in the business. I did that for a few years. I got some calls and they asked me to come back to Silicon Valley to do some consulting with some startup companies to get them started with their human resource department. And I did that for 4 years. And I finally said, and Barb quit asking. She, when are you going to join me? She finally just said, hey, you do what you do. That's great. I'll do what I do. That's great as well. Sorry, we've got storms moving into Arizona. It's raining, which we love, by the way. Anyway, and so I just never did join her. And then I finally said, I've got to take a look at this. And here was my problem, and I know it's going to sound terrible to a lot of you, but I came out of Silicon Valley as a senior level executive, and honestly, I couldn't see myself selling vitamins. That's what I thought Barb did. I thought she sold vitamins. I thought she sold household cleaners, and I thought she sold skincare, personal skincare. And I honestly couldn't see myself doing that. But I said, regardless of that, I'm going to take a look at the business piece of it and see if it's something that I really want to do. So I sat down and I looked at the sales plan and I went, oh my gosh, wow. the streams of income that are available in this dream plan sales plan are just amazing, just amazing. There's a lot here. And then as I looked at what Barb was doing, yeah, she was selling those products, but she was building organizations. She was coaching people. She was giving people the opportunity, giving them an opportunity to dream about a lifestyle that they couldn't even fathom. And she was doing that for people, and I went, hey, that's right up my alley. The coaching with people and that kind of thing, building organizations. That's what I did for 33 years in the semiconductor industry. So I said, I'm all in. And I don't know if she believed me or not, but I said I'm all in. So I did. I did the same thing in Shackley that I did when I was climbing the corporate ladder, if you will, and that is I had a vision that I wanted to run my own organization, and that was early on in my career. It took me 23 years to get to the vice president level. But I talked to people who had been there and done that. I talked to senior level executives. I talked to CEOs. What are you looking for in a vice president of human resources? What do I need to know to get that job at some point in time when I'm ready? And then the rest of it was just experience and working in different organizations and doing different things. I did the same thing when I went into Shackley with Barb. I got to be friends with Roland right away, and Roland became a mentor for me. Gary and Faye Burke, I don't know if you know Gary and Faye, they're presidential masters, and they have a place in Scottsdale that they come in the winter. And Gary and I met at one of the global conferences and really hit it off. We're both golfers, and so he and I play golf with Faye's actually better than both of us, but play golf when they're here for the winter, and they come over and we barbecue and have fun. And then I got Carolyn and I got Barb. So I mean, I've got some really good mentors in this business. I'll probably never know as much as they do. I probably won't live long enough. They've forgotten probably more than I'll ever know and stuff, but it's really good to have those kind of mentors as I'm learning the ropes. And I still got a lot to learn, about the Shackley business. But I'm enjoying it. It's really, really a lot of fun, and it isn't like work to me. So the coaching thing really helped us and that kind of thing. So that's kind of what I did. So anyway, we about 2 months after I joined Barb in the business, maybe it was 3 months, 2 or 3 months, when I joined her, we were senior executive coordinators. And in 3 months, 2 to 3 months, we skipped key and went to senior key. And I'm going, well, so this isn't so hard, like I had anything to do with it, not, and then I figured, we'll be masters probably in another couple months. Well, it was over a year, and we're not master coordinators yet. And we're stuck. I mean, have any of you ever been stuck? Just, and you're just not moving. You're not moving ahead. You're not going up in rank anymore and stuff. We were stuck. We had the organizational volume, but we didn't have the people. We didn't have the first level. We needed 2 more first levels, or 1 more first level actually. And so we're on a call with Roland and Carolyn on the Wednesday call that a lot of you are on, and they were talking about you gotta change your thinking. And I'm going, what is this change your thinking thing? You got to elevate your thinking. I'm going, oh my gosh, wonder what that is all about. And then some people came on, probably some of you that are on this call tonight, and said, I changed my thinking, and I've got a call from someone, and all of a sudden, I got this big order, or I've had people come and talk to me, and that I never thought would talk to me, and now they're interested in the business. And I'm going, this is woo-woo stuff. I don't know about this changing your thinking thing, but I kept listening to it, and people were pretty credible on what they were saying. So Barb and I, in our home, we've since downsized, but when we had the other house, she had an office on one side of the house, and I had an office on the other side of the house. We'd email back and forth, and we'd call back. It was a beautiful thing. It was, it was really nice. And so I'm sitting there, I'm listening to this, and I'm saying, we're stuck. We got to do something about it. So I didn't email, I didn't call Barb. I got up, I walked down the hallway to the other end of the house, and I walked into her office, and before I could say anything, she says, we need to change our thinking. And I said, exactly. I said, Barb, from now on, we are master coordinators in our thinking. We are master coordinators. We're going to talk like masters. We're going to act like masters. We're going to walk like masters. We are master coordinators. So I got on the computer and I had signs all over the office, like 6 or 7 signs. Barb and Ray Madorin, master coordinator. I had it over the door of the office. I had it where I shaved in the morning so I could see it every morning. I wanted to remind ourselves that that's what we were. And we got into action. And we started talking to people again. And that's one of the things that we weren't doing. We weren't in action. And we had to get in action. And so we were talking to people. And once you do that, when you change your thinking and you start getting into action, things start to happen. I don't know if the universe opens up or whatever it is, but we had people coming to us. It was one guy I used to play golf with at our golf club, and he knew that Barb and I were in Shackley. His wife was interested in the products, but didn't really do anything. And then they moved to Florida. A year later, this was right when we were doing all this. It's been a year since they left. She calls and says to Barb, she said, Barb, my daughter in England, they were from England, but lived in the U.S. for a long time, said, my daughter in England is really not doing well. And I know that, I've talked to you about these products that you have, this nutrition stuff. Do you think it might help her? And Barb said, I don't know, but, tell me about it, in which she did. And they started taking the product. And then she said to Barb, she said, by the way, she said, isn't there a business opportunity too? And Barb said, yeah, there is. She said, I'd really like to hear about it. Now, they're millionaires. I mean, and the reason why they wanted to hear about it was because of the tax situation. They're paying a lot in taxes, and they thought maybe that might help and give her something to do as well. Her husband was in the insurance. So those kind of things were happening to us. And then I heard, I don't know, it was Roland or Carolyn, one of the others said that, you got to visualize, where you are and what you're doing. And so I said, okay, I can do that. I can do that. So and it always, for some reason, it was always at 3 o'clock in the morning. And I started to visualize and picture what it was going to be like when we were master coordinators. And so this went on for about 3, and it had to be 3 o'clock in the morning, which I don't know why it had to be 3 in the morning, but it was. I got little sleep for about 3 solid weeks. But this was the first of the middle of February, and we wanted to be masters by the end of March, because we wanted to go to the global conference in Nashville as full-fledged masters. So anyway, so I started thinking about this, and I pictured us going to the airport, and I pictured us being on the airplane. And I could hear the engines as we walked in onto the plane. And then we got to Nashville, and as we were coming into the baggage claim area, there was a person with a sign with our picture, with our name on it, Madorin. And he got our luggage and took us over to this big, huge limousine, and put our luggage in the limousine, and we went to the hotel. And we got into this room, because they give new masters, they give them a suite. It was a beautiful, beautiful suite. And then it was time for us to be announced as new masters. And we're standing on the side. And all these people were in the hotel there in Nashville, and they called our name, and we went up onto the stage, and they announced us as new master coordinators, and people were on their feet and they were clapping, and I could hear this. I could hear it. I could absolutely hear it and feel it. It's just unbelievable. And and then and and I did this for like 3 solid weeks. Every night this was going on. This was happening, and this thing was playing in my ear. And so anyway, I I told Barb about it, and she goes, "Well, good." She says, "Keep thinking that way because we're going to be masters. We're going to be masters by the end of March." So we had people, we were talking to people all over the place, and we had a lot of things going and stuff like that. But we get within 3 weeks of the end of March, and we had some people working towards director, but they weren't there yet. So I said to Barb, I said, what about our personal group? We've got some people that are doing 8, 10, 12, 14,000, PV with their little group within our personal group. Let's talk to someone in those groups and let's see if they're ready to do something. Maybe they're ready to do something. So the first person we called, and we said, you're just doing so well, and you've got just a great group. Have you thought about becoming a sales leader in our organization? Because you're just doing so well, and we would really support that and do whatever it took to help you get to a sales leader, if that's what you want. And the first person we called said, "Funny you should call. I've been thinking about it for 2 months." So, it was just, I went, "Oh my gosh." And so we started working with her for that last 3 weeks. And she went out, long story short, she went out as a director at the end of March, and we were masters in qualification. Um, and I wanted to do it. I wanted to do it in March. Barb and I wanted to do it in March because we wanted to go on the trip, and you had to be in qualification for 4 months. To go on master for 4 months to go on the trip, and it was on the cruise. And so and so we got to go to Nashville as full-fledged masters because we did the 3 months that you have to do in order to be masters and stuff like that. So it just worked for us. But it was a stretch for us. We did in a month and a half what we weren't able to do in over a year. We did that in 45 days. So it was great, and we have never reverted. We've never had a month where we weren't masters for 5 years, and we just had our 5-year anniversary when we were in Las Vegas last year. So it was great. It was just absolutely great, and it's all up here with what you're doing, and so that was wonderful. Anyway, so that's kind of my story there. What else did I wanted to tell you about? Okay. Where was the next step going? We're masters now. Things are really going well for us. And we're listening to Roland and Carolyn on all of the calls and that kind of stuff. And our organization just has continued to grow. And we started doing a lot of counseling with our people. And so we would have meetings with them, every week, and just started to grow. I mean, we just started to grow to the point where right now we're very close. We're one sales director away from senior master. It's just really going well for us right now, and we're just really, really excited about it. So I don't know. That's
So Ray,
Uh,
let me ask you a question.
sure.
What do you do? So you got to your master coordinator. So what do you do on a regular basis now to keep you in the game all the time?
Yeah. Well, right now, we're on the Richard Brook 90 Days to Momentum. And we've got 18 people that are on our call. Probably 12 are on most of the time. Others listen to the recording and that kind of thing. So that is really going well for us there too. So we're doing a lot of that with the 90 Days to Momentum. And we've got a couple people right now that would get us to master, get us to senior master, and it's working so well with this 90 days to momentum. It really is with Richard. So I don't know how many of you were on that call, but that's really going well, and we've got people that are working really hard. Not all of them, but at least 5 or 6 of them are having calls. They're doing in-home meetings, and that's really what has happened. Is the in-homes have really propelled a lot of the people in our organization forward, and they're so we've got at least 4 or 5 that are doing in-homes. Once or twice a week, they're doing in-home meetings and things, or at least once a week, and they're really growing. So, we had someone who was a executive coordinator and lost some of the people in their some of their sales leaders, and now they're back up to senior coordinator, and they've got 2 or 3 people that are ready to break, and they're going to be keys before the end of the year. So that's kind of thing we've got going with this 90 Days to Momentum. It's really a great program. So yeah.
So the biggest change that you've seen with the 90 days is that people now are doing in-home events.
Yeah, they're doing in-home events. Yeah, they are. Absolutely. Yep, that has really gotten the PV up in all of their groups, and they've got people that are working towards director and coordinator and senior coordinator and executive coordinator. So they're really going up in rank right now. We've got some that are on the sidelines that are kind of waiting to see what is happening, that kind of thing. And then we've got Chicago coming up. Where Richard's going to be there. Richard Bliss Brook is going to be there. And we'd really like to get 500-600 people, at that event, because it's going to be life-changing for some of them. It really is. So, if we can get that many and a lot of the masters there, and Richard's going to do probably at least one day, and then the next day it'll be the masters talking to the groups and those kinds of things. So it's going to be pretty good. Roland, of course, will be there, and a lot of the other masters. There's a lot of masters involved in the 90 Days to Momentum right now. That's really going well. Really going well. All right. Anything else?
Open it up for questions.
Sure.
Or comments from people.
Yeah. How long do you usually go with the meeting?
With Roland,
whenever you're done. Huh?
With Roland, we usually go an hour.
Oh, I'm sure. Oh, shoot. Yeah, I'll take any questions that you might have.
I'd like to make a comment. There is nothing like in-homes to make your business grow.
Yeah.
That's how our business was built. It was on in-homes. I did a lot of skin cares, but the in-homes is where you get to know the people. You get in their home, and then there's usually 1 or 2 that it's got a nice sparkle in their eyes.
Yeah.
But that's where as you build your volume, that's where you're going to find your people. That's where you're going to find the people that build volume, and then the people that become business leaders in your group.
Sure. Absolutely.
So that's definitely, there's nothing like that personal touch with the people. Online doesn't do it.
Right.
I do a lot online because I have an old, large organization. But when it comes to bringing new people in, the most of the time, then you're bringing in the people from in-homes, and you're bringing those people in, you're getting to know them,
Yep.
all that.
Yep.
And you're moving them on to, if they want to go online, fine. But I want to get to know them before I turn them on to online.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I've got a one of the guys that's, he's not even in my organization, but he came up to me at one of the events and he said, "Would you mentor me?" He said, we've been stuck for a lot of years and we'd really like to get going. And so we talked a lot about vision, and you know what that really means, and not just goal setting, but visions being something that's already happened in the future. So you have a vision of where you're going to be a year from now, or 6 months from now, or 2 years from now, whatever it may be, and it's something that in your mind has already happened. So it isn't just like goals where you're going to work on it this month and next month and week by week kind of thing, but in your mind you've already accomplished it. You're already there. And so we were writing out, he wanted to write out goals. And I said, okay, well, give it a try and then let's talk about it. And I'd like to read it to you if it's okay. So remember, it's already something that has taken place, even though it hasn't happened yet, but it has in your mind. So he says, as I sit here quietly in the living room on the last day of December 2018, and he wrote this about 6 months ago when we first started, a soft emotion overcomes me as the sparks from the fireplace snap and crackle in the background. I drift into a daze as I become mesmerized by the soft falling snow growing like mounds of cotton outside. It has been an amazing year, and I reflect on what has occurred. Right, they were directors. Qualifying for senior coordinator in our first Shackley trip, I see myself walking along the most beautiful beach of warm white sand as far as the eye can see. As the sun sends magnitudes of sparkling diamonds bouncing off the waves as they gently crash at my feet, I am sitting with my toes playing in the sand as I watch the sky fill with the most beautiful array of soft pinks and yellow glows, bouncing flashes of soft orange over the water as the sun softly slips under the horizon. But I'm not alone, as my love is with me, seeing the same beauty and feeling the warmth that we so justly deserve. In the quiet evening, under a sky filled with the most mesmerizing stars, we learn and party with the most passionate group of leaders. My mind continues to wander as I find myself sitting quietly on the back patio on the last day of June 2019, watching the fireflies dancing and flickering in the night sky. Our patio is filled with the most energetic, passionate group of leaders that have come into our life and organization. It has been an amazing time. We have just come back from our first Shackley trip. Around us, the gentle summer breeze waffles through the air, propelling the smell of the barbecue fire as it dances under our noses. We look across at one another, wink, and take a sip of our Vivix martini. A smile pierces our face as we take in the moment of reaching executive coordinator, knowing that master coordinator is not far away. I think that is just amazing. Isn't that great? So that's the vision as opposed to a goal. It's already happened. A vision is always positive, by the way. It can't be negative. So it's something that you've already accomplished in your mind. You've already accomplished it. It's out there. It could be a year, could be 2 years, could be 3, whatever it is. And it has to be clearly defined and detailed, like he put in his, exactly what it's going to look like when he gets there, because he's already in his mind, he's already there. So it's a done deal is what it is. So that's kind of interesting too. I don't know if any of you have written, your your visions of where you think you're going to be a year from now, or 2 years from now, or 3 years from now. But it can be very powerful, I think. Be very powerful. And yeah, it's something that's already happened in the future. Any questions?
Amy, you were going to say something before.
Yeah, I have a question kind of going back, Ray.
Okay.
You had mentioned earlier when you and Barb got things, you started to really move and you got your people, your leaders on board with you. You said you started doing meetings every week. What did your meetings look like? I've heard you and Barb tell your story about what a coaching call sounds like, which is extremely beneficial. I like how you break it down and you keep it succinct, I guess is the best way to put it.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious, what did your meetings look like?
The meetings that we do are all online, by the way. We have very few people here in the Phoenix, Scottsdale, Arizona area. We have a lot of people here, but none of them are really working. They're buying products, but a lot of them are not working. So we're not doing a lot of meetings local. We're doing most of our meetings online, and we're doing a lot of meetings. So we have a meeting every Tuesday night, and it's a leadership meeting is what it is. We've changed it over a little bit from what we were doing because of the 90 days to momentum with Richard. Before it was a meeting, and they would come to the meeting and they would discuss what they're doing, and we would all be able to say, okay, hey, has anybody got any examples of this or that, and just talk about what people were doing. Now it's a lot more towards doing the in-homes. We really are stressing the in-homes right now, and the ones that are moving are the ones that are doing the in-homes. So I don't know if that answers the question or not, but that's kind of what we're doing is all the Richard calls. We're on the calls, and then on Tuesday nights we talk about the call, and we talk about what we're doing and who we're talking to, and answer questions and that kind of thing. So yeah, it's really fun. I really enjoy this business. It's a lot different in the semiconductor industry, I'll tell you that.
So now that the Richard stuff is done, you can't discuss those calls on a weekly basis. So now what are you going to go to?
Well, we're continuing them right now. We are continuing those. We're continuing those calls because it'll end up in Chicago. At the meeting that we're doing in Chicago, November the 30th, December 1st, that Friday, Saturday, right. Richard will be there, and he'll be doing something all day on Friday with leaders, and then others that are not necessarily leaders will be on the Saturday, and then so Richard will do part of Saturday, but not as much of it. And then a lot of the masters they'll speak and have meetings, with the rest of the people. We're hoping for really 400 or 500 people that will be there. That's kind of that'll. And then after that kind of it'll be between now and the end of the year. That'll be through the end of the year, if you will. And then next year, we're already talking about what else we want to do. And we're not sure what that's going to look like yet. But Carolyn and Roland and Barb and I, who else? Anyway, we're meeting on a regular basis trying to decide what's the next step with Richard going forward. And so we're looking at that for next year. And as soon as we get that ironed out and figured out what it is, then we'll roll that out to everybody. We'll probably talk a lot about it in Chicago, because the meeting I was talking about is going to be in Chicago on the 30th and the 1st of December. So, yeah.
Okay, awesome. Does anybody else have any comments or questions for Ray?
What is the cost on For the Saturdays, or the Friday, Saturday, and then for the Saturday.
The Friday, Saturday is 300, and if you bring a spouse, it's 350. I believe that's right.
Okay.
That's right. And the
No, I think
Saturdays,
it's more than that.
is it?
Mike, how much is it? Isn't it more? I thought it was $349 and his spouse was $100 and a quarter.
Yeah.
And then it was $99 for non-leaders.
Is that right?
Yes.
Okay,
That's correct.
I don't do the money. Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
okay, and then it's $99 for Saturday. Right.
Now, regardless of who they are, whether they're
Yeah, if they're just coming for the Saturday session, it's $99. Yeah.
okay, so that means anybody could come for $99. Is
Absolutely.
that correct? Okay.
But Friday is going to be all day, Richard.
All day Richard on Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's stories. He's going to be working people with their stories. And I'm not sure everything that he's going to be doing. He's going to let us, kind of give us an outline of what Saturday will, what Friday will look like. And we haven't seen all of it yet, but he'll be working with stories for sure.
Yeah.
And working with people on their stories. So, yeah, it's going to be good. In fact, Heather may even be there. She's asked us if she could come, and she thinks it's great that we're doing it. It's really changed, you guys. With the home office, I'm on the Masters Executive Committee as well for the second time I've been on it. And I think the reason why they want me to be on it is because I have the corporate background, and I do understand, what they're thinking and what they're saying, and those kinds of things and stuff. But it's really changed this year. I really believe that we've made some inroads with the home office, that things are going a lot better with them, we're working closer with them. Charlene is the chairman, and she's just doing a great job there. A lot of trust is being built between the field and the home office, and it's about time, because it hasn't been for a lot of years, I think, and probably rightly so, because of a lot of things that have happened and stuff like that. But we really want to change that. We want to change that so that we have a closer working relationship with the home office, so that we can support them, they can support us. And we're seeing that happen. We don't agree on everything. I can tell you that right now. We probably never will agree on everything. That's okay. We agree to disagree sometimes, but it isn't nasty at all. And I think it sometime in the past it has been at times. It's very contentious, and we're trying to really get away from that. I don't have, because I've only been 7 years now with Barb in the business, and I really have not been in the business with her at all. I didn't see a lot. I don't have that memory of the contentiousness with the home office and the fighting with the home office, or whatever it is. I haven't seen that, and so I don't have that background. I don't have that experience in my head. So
I think that a lot of that, though, was when we were working with the Japanese, and they just kept taking everything more away from us because they wanted more production.
Yeah.
They wanted a bigger bottom line, so they just take more away from us, and then the profit went up.
Well, that's what they wanted, was the profit. That it really changed, I think, after Dr. Shackley retired, and and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I didn't really stay up with it a lot. Barb did the business, and I when I joined her, I had no idea how much money she made, and it was substantial. That was really a nice thing and stuff. So I didn't really get involved, other than people at work. If somebody came in with something on their shirt, I'd say, "Give me your shirt. I'll take it home. Barb will get it out." And then I'd sell a quarter a gallon of Basic H. That's the kind of stuff that I did at work. And then I almost got in trouble or didn't get in trouble, but I'm the vice president of human resources, and I walk into my office, and there's a whiteboard there, and someone who was buying products from us, he or she would order, say, "Hey, can you get me this? Can you get me that?" And I'd bring it the next day and stuff like that. And they had a thing up on my whiteboard and says, "I need drugs. Bring them in tomorrow." Oh, man, you can't do that. I'm the vice president of human resources. Somebody come in and see that, I'll get fired for crying out. So a lot of that. kind of stuff. But I sold a lot of products at work by accident during all that time. But I really didn't know what kind of an organization Barb was building until I joined her. It's really.
And what's interesting with what you shared, Ray, is that part of it never intrigued you until you actually saw the possibilities that were there with this to make a difference in everybody else's life as well.
Yeah, it really did. She was making a difference, and that got me, as well as building organizations, counseling with people. That was my background. That was my experience base, and so that really is what I think got me into the business more than anything else. And the fact that I told Barb probably 15, 20 times I was going to do it, and I never did. So she didn't believe me when I said I was going to. But I did.
Take your golf courses, golf clubs, and leave the house or not?
I know. Well, I'm not playing golf as much, but she does let me out once a week to play golf on. Right now it's Friday mornings. But I'm home by noon, so I can be on calls if I need to be. But I have one morning a week. Instead of playing 6 days a week, I just play one. And usually, in the winter anyway, it's with the Burks, with Gary and Faye. We usually play one day a week together. They come over for barbecues. I mean, you guys have been a real mentor for me too. I mean, we'll be out in the golf cart on the golf course, and he'll be talking to me about how he's doing the business. And stuff, because we're waiting for the green to clear, for the people to leave the green ahead of us, and he'll just start talking about, Ray, this is kind of the things that we're doing. This is, and the guy's been a real mentor to me. Well, so is Roland, for that matter, as well. So I got some pretty good mentors, I'll tell you, and I got a lot to learn about the business yet. So
I think we never quit learning, right?
I don't think so.
Any other questions from anybody?
I just want to make another comment. Back in the olden days, and I don't know whether this happened with you, Nina, or not. How long have you been in?
39 years.
Oh, wow. Okay. So, I've been in a little longer than that. But, we didn't talk about writing out what it's going to be like when we make whatever. So we got to Katie. And I've thought about, why did we sit there so long? We sat there from 1982 to 2006. And and then I don't know what. I guess when Roger bought the company, they invited the Keys to come to San Francisco. And he took us on a dinner cruise out on San Francisco Bay. And I thought, wow, this is pretty good. So anyhow, then, of course, that made me start thinking about moving forward then at that time. Although I still hadn't written anything down. I mean, I made a chart that had coordinator and it had 4 circles on it and that kind of thing. I did that. But that was about the extent of it. I just had such a drive that I wanted to do this business. And I didn't have another income to support it. So, that made a difference.
That does make a difference.
Yeah, right. So anyhow, but that kind of moved me along. Sometimes when you have another income supporting you, then, you think, I can do Shack there if I want to, or if I don't want to. But, I think Nina understands that well. And so the point I'm making is that you have to make the decision. And like, if you don't make the decision, you may not eat next month or whatever. When you're by yourself.
Yeah.
So.
Or you can decide to downsize and downsize and downsize until you can't downsize anymore. And that wasn't my choice.
But I don't know whether I should say that or not, but that was the extent of it. But I had a reason to move on forward.
Well, that's a good reason. Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to eat. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I've heard Carolyn say it so many times. Poverty was her motivator.
Yeah, that's right. That's
So
right.
anyhow,
Exactly. Anything else?
well, I would just encourage all of these people, every one of them. I remember Janet Scott was a first level to Roland, and she was a director. I don't know if she had any directors under her or not. I don't think she did. But anyhow, she was in Shackley for a long time. Now, she was a school teacher. But what Janet said, she said, and she had another income coming into the home too. But she says, I never ever thought I could retire and have this kind of an income.
Yeah.
Because, she was
I
doing
know.
high volume and all of that kind of thing. And so that was her motivation. Retirement, we're not young chickens anymore, but that's just something that we have to think about.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I love it.
I used to always say that the best paid unskilled labor was waitressing or bartending.
That's very true.
Because you make good money,
Yeah.
no
Yeah.
schooling, whatever.
Yeah.
But I have to be honest with you, I think that I shouldn't say I think, I know this is better than that, and you can make better money than that, and you don't have to have skills to start.
Oh,
You don't
yeah.
have to have a college degree.
You just have to be coachable and listen to whoever is telling you and talking to you upline. They've been down that road many times before you. And that's when it works, is when you listen. I listened. I still talk to Roland a lot, I don't know if it's a lot or not, but it's enough,
You got to be coachable. Absolutely. That is a key. It is so, Shackley is made up of everybody that you can imagine, whether they're engineers, are they executives, are there stay-at-home moms, are there whatever it is, and no one has an advantage over anybody else in this business. Barb was a stay-at-home mom and built one heck of a business. I'm a master coordinator because I'm married to one, right? That's why I'm a master. There's no doubt about that. Barb built this business. I came along and got the glory of being a master coordinator, and she's the one who built it. I understand that. I know I'm helping a little bit now. At least she says I am, but. Yeah, you don't have to be in a certain profession to come into Shackley and be successful. Anybody can be successful if they have the will to do it.
Exactly.
The only difference is, I think, Ray, that somebody who, like you said, my life was coaching. So coaching. I had to learn coaching.
Okay.
So we all have our different resources that we come in with. And I had to learn this because for years I always compared myself to everybody else. Why can't I? Why can't I? Why can't I? I didn't have the same skill set that other people have. So I had to learn those skills along the way.
Along the way, sure.
Yeah. You don't
then it took you longer. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it took me a little longer.
Yeah.
And maybe if I'd worked harder and put more hours.
Yeah.
I
don't know. Gary Burke told me too that he took them 8 years to become masters when everybody else in the Minneapolis area were doing it in 2 years, 3 years, or whatever. He never compared himself to anybody, he said. And he heard one time at a meeting early on that if you can find 2 people a year, you can become a master coordinator. Now, he said if they said 3, he said maybe I'd have made it sooner, but they said 2. So it took him 8 years, and then and they had 16 first levels, and they still have 15 today, first levels and stuff. So
built them strong.
Yeah, and 92% of their income is from their downline. 92%.
Yeah. So,
And,
all right. Well,
okay.
Anything else? Otherwise, we will. Okay.
No, thanks for having me.
Thank you very much, Ray. We
You
appreciate it. Stepping in for Roland and.
Yeah, it's not easy stepping in for Roland, but
But you know what? Everybody just brings a different perspective.
yeah.
Everybody brings a little bit different salt and pepper.
Yeah. Well, he's one of my mentors, so
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So
When
Good guy.
he told the story of how it was when they became masters, and they take you out to San Francisco and all the stuff.
Oh
You know,
yeah,
that's exactly true.
it is.
I
I
mean,
know.
ditto. I mean, you just cannot, you can't imagine it. But when they did it, that really motivated me because that night we went and told Roger that we were going to be masters. And Ray Curdoy says, I found a key and married her because, because I could become a master then. So,
Now that dinner at Roger and Sloane's house, that's pretty
oh,
special. That
yes.
was pretty special, you know. And we sat at the table there, and I was right next to Sloane. So Sloane and I kind of snuggled up together on that little bench that we were on and stuff. She is just what a sweetheart. They are the most down to earth people you can imagine. I mean, they just really when they're billionaires, for crying out. She has more than he does, right? She has more money than he does, and they're just the most down to earth people. And and even at the I tell things out of maybe out of school, but Roger will say something, and Sloan will say, Roger, that isn't right. And stuff right at the table when we were having dinner. And I mean, it's just they're really nice people. They're really nice people. They're so easy to be with. Yeah, it was fun. That was a great evening. And one of the things that I didn't get though, because I asked him, because they own a winery, right? And I asked him, because we had some really nice wines for dinner and everything for just about every course. And I said, but I'd really like to have a wine from your winery. And he said, well, they're not ready yet. But he said, when they are, he said, I'll see if I can get it and get it to all of you that are here for dinner tonight. Well, he never did. And I got to remind him of that because he said he was going to do that. And I really wanted to taste one of the wine.
When you make senior master, maybe he'll invite you back again.
Maybe he will. I don't know.
I would say that, like that description that Ray gave, if you want to, have dinner at Roger Sloan's,
Yeah.
and if that motivates you, man, go for it. Because I'll tell you what, after we did that, I wanted to go back again.
I know, I did too.
And at that time, I didn't have the rank of senior master.
Well, I didn't know it was going to be that special, but it really was.
Oh,
It
yeah.
was really special.
Mm.
It was something. They were a wonderful host. And then the kids came down and shook our hand, and right before they went to bed, and introduced themselves to us. And over in the corner were their toys. They had their toys put away, but it was still over there in the corner. And I mean, they're just like a regular family, regular billionaire family, but they're a regular family. They're just really neat people. That was a real experience that I'll never forget. I'll never forget that.
So we all need to experience that.
You really do. It's worth becoming a master just for that dinner. It really is. Oh, shoot.
Okay.
All right,
thank
you guys.
you very much, Ray. Appreciate it.
Right.
And we will see you in Chicago.
We will see you in Chicago. Thanks for having me.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Good night.
And I'll forward this on to if you want to share it with any of your downlines. Okay.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.